Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by the good folks over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been Storm sponsors since day one. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is. Baked fresh, sliced fresh, delivered fresh. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Number one in delivery sales for the Good Sense franchise system for the past 20 years. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that is good. Some things and some dates I want to bring you up to date on as far as the Sioux Falls Storm is concerned. This weekend, the April 20th game is going to be Faith and Family Night, sponsored by Schulte Subaru. And there's some special ticket prices coming. And if just check the Storm website for those. That's SiouxFallsStorm.com. Sioux Falls Storm, two S's right there. SiouxFallsStorm.com. Check it out. Faith and Family Night. Then on April 27th is the annual Stormtrooper Kids Football Camp, and you can sign up for that at SiouxFallsStorm.com. And then there's a big fundraiser game that's going to be coming up on April 27th, and that's for the Sioux Falls School District, sponsored by Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. And it's called the Night of Hope and Caring, and you can go to the website, nightofhopeandcaring.com. And what this is a way for the school districts to raise some extra money for those that don't have any, like PTA or other financially fundraising entities within their school system. And the money that's raised goes for things like books and field trips and all of those different things like that. In fact, there's even a website, Amazon wish list, that people, if they would like to help out that way, they can purchase books for the school, or you can purchase coffee and mugs from Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union, along with getting tickets to the game on the 27th at any price level. 50% of net proceeds will be donated back to schools, and that's coming up again on that April 27th game. And then that's also the annual Stormtrooper Kids Football Camp. And then this weekend, Faith and Family Night, sponsored by Schulte Subaru. Having some difficulty getting in touch with Coach Riggs right now, so we'll keep it right here while we're still efforting. John Michaels, our studio producer and engineer, all over it and working to reach him and see what the issue is. Right now, the phone is not ringing at his place, so we'll just keep on going. Coming up in the show, we're going to be talking to Ryan Brink. And Ryan has been the head trainer with the Sioux Falls Storm for many years. I'm going to be talking to him about some different issues as far as injuries and training, about how do you train in the middle of the season versus at the beginning of the season? How about what does stretching really do for you? How do you do it? What do you do it? How do you do it well? Is a bye week good for you for healing? Is it good for you if you don't train or do your physical therapy? We're going to be talking to Ryan Brink about that. Also, we're going to be talking to Brian Hermanson about players and what works well as far as reaching players to get them to be able to produce at their highest level. And I think those are some things we're going to be talking to him about as far as what is their attitude, what is their intellect as far as the game itself. Is it instinctive? Is it knowledge? All of those different things we'll be talking to Brian Hermanson in that segment. Then in the last segment, hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to Coach Riggs about the Iowa Barnstormers. The Iowa Barnstormers, they're coming to town. It's a rematch of the United Bowl 2018, where the Barnstormers beat the Storm 42-38 in a heart-stopping finish. And we're going to be talking about the Iowa Barnstormers coming to town. They're undefeated in the IFL. As far as the games that went on during this past weekend, on Saturday, Nebraska traveled up to Green Bay, and the Green Bay Blizzard victorious in that game 60-50. And then on Sunday, Iowa Barnstormers were up in Bismarck, and they were victorious 55-16. And if you go to the website, the IFL website, the video of that game has been blocked because of copyright infringement. That's the one thing about YouTube. If the arena itself plays music that has not been copyrighted, that has not been paid for the use of it, the copyright can shut the broadcast down, and that's exactly what happened with the Iowa Barnstormers Bismarck Bucks game. Then also on Sunday, the Arizona Rattlers played Tucson, and it was a tight game, and it was tied at 28, and then Arizona went up 34-28, and then Arizona blocked a field goal, ran it in for a touchdown, actually recovered it for a touchdown, and they wound up winning by 14, 55-41. And then the game last night, Cedar Rapids River Kings traveled out to San Diego to take on the Strike Force, and the Strike Force got their first win of the season, 40-34 over Cedar Rapids. So the standings right now in the IFL, Arizona Rattlers, Iowa Barnstormers, both 6-0 on the year. Sioux Falls Storm, 5-1, alone in second place. Then Green Bay, 5-2. That's the most wins that they've had in a season for quite some time. And then Tucson, 3-4, along with Nebraska, 3-4. Quad City Steamwheelers, 2-4. And then Cedar Rapids and San Diego, 1-6, and the Bismarck Bucks, no wins on the season. Games this week. Saturday, Bismarck will be at Cedar Rapids, Green Bay at Nebraska, and that's a back-to-back game. They played each other this past weekend. Iowa's going to be here in Sioux Falls. Tucson's going to be at Quad City. Then on Monday, Arizona's going to be at San Diego. We'll be back with more of the Kurtiss Riggs Show after we pause for this time out, but you're listening to this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, baked fresh, sliced fresh, delivered fresh. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, #1 in delivery sales for the Good Sense franchise system for the past 20 years. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good. We'll be back right after this.
Is it time to sell your equipment? Sell it on AuctionTime.com. The best resource for selling farm equipment, construction equipment, trucks, and trailers. Powered by Tractor House, Machinery Trader, and Truck Paper, Auction Time brings you the largest audience of bidders from across the country and around the world. Get more for your equipment. See our current listings at AuctionTime.com or call 800-334-7443.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Eastway Sports Lounge and Eastway Bowl. And the Sport Lounge, the official Storm road game viewing party hosts for all Storm fans. And the next viewing party is Saturday, May 4th. As the Storm travels to Quad City in Iowa to take on the Steamwheelers. Kickoff is at 7:05. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, the beauty and wonderment of electronics and telephone communication, isn't it? Well, it's still the beauty and the question mark about communication. Sometimes just all of it doesn't always fit in just exactly the way you have figured out and planned. But I believe we have the head coach with us right now. Coach, the beauty of communication sometimes and electronics mixed in there makes for an interesting time, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, you're right. I was sitting in a meeting with the South Dakota High School Football Coaches Association and wondering when am I going to get a call to get out of this meeting, and never got it. And then, yeah, thankfully you guys were able to get a hold of me. So
well, it worked out. We tried calling you, the just line was dead. So maybe the ice tore down one of the telephone lines. Coach, you had a chance. Go ahead.
No, I'm here. What do you got, Rich?
I tell you what, a couple of things I wanted to get to. You had an opportunity. Did you still make it down to Indiana to see the spring game for Kalen DeBoer's new squad down there?
It was awesome. I'll tell you, the Big Ten, Indiana included, I think most think of Indiana as a basketball school.
Uh-huh.
But the Big Ten is it's major Power 5 football, and you see it when you go and you see the facilities, you see the amount of money spent on strength conditioning, the speed training. Just every facet was unbelievable. And I've been to every school Kalen's been at, Southern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, to Fresno State, and nothing compares to the facilities that I saw at Indiana, and the time, the commitment. It was unbelievable. So it was a lot of fun, and he's doing a great job there. They love him so far. We'll see as the games go on.
Yeah, no kidding. Beautiful campus and a very intimate stadium, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's it seats 60,000, but they are right on top of you, and that'll be cool. Hopefully, they can win some games and fill that place up. And the campus is gorgeous. It's beautiful. Yeah. And it's really cool. The town is very centered on the college. The college is the focus of the town of Bloomington. But I was able to. The first night I'm there, they had a baseball game and a softball game going on, and they sit back to back. The baseball facility and the softball facility. I mean, literally, they're 8 feet away from each other, and both stadiums were packed. They were packed. And it was really cool just to see, the interaction and the college atmosphere and the support. And then to walk around the campus and the facilities was impressive.
Well, our very best to Kalen DeBoer as he begins his new chapter in his life with the Indiana Hoosiers in the Big Ten. And that's just fantastic, where he came from and how he's built his career and reached to that level. We wish him nothing but the best. Well, Coach, coming up on the 27th is the annual Storm Trooper Camp, and that's something that you really enjoy putting on for the kids, don't you?
We do, yeah. The best part is it's the players. I mean, it's the kids get to work out with the players. They get to be coached by the players. They get firsthand to work on a sack move against one of our offensive tackles, or learn different running back moves from our running backs and all the positions. And so it's a chance for the kids to interact, play games, and learn from the players.
One thing about it, I'm sure it's full contact, isn't it?
Oh, you bet. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, except for Lorenzo Brown, everyone is fair game.
But I tell you what, it's great. What ages for the kids?
I think they go from, usually it's kindergarten to 8th grade is what you see the biggest group. But, we take them all. I mean, they all come in. Usually we get over about 100 kids, and we do it right on the field. That's really cool for the kids to be able to be down on the game field and to fly around there and see what it's like running into the boards and figuring out there's not a lot of give in those things. And usually they want to try to tackle the players into those walls also.
Good time. Check it out, SiouxFallsStorm.com. Get their youngster, boy or girl, signed up for the Storm Junior Football Trooper Camp, and it's always a great time. Wanted to visit with you just briefly about the change in the Coaches Challenge system within the IFL. Last year was pretty much wide open as far as you could challenge anything. You could challenge pass interference, you could challenge a hold or things like that, but they've really lowered that down as far as the amount of plays that you can challenge. And here they are: scoring plays, turnovers, catch or no catch, forward or backward pass, a runner is down or not, touching of a kick, and also as far as the onside kick, if it's been touched or touched too early. And then you can also challenge as far as illegal blitzes and twists. Is this a much better system or a scenario for challenges than it was last year, or which do you prefer?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it just bogged down and slowed down the game. You're taking judgment calls now and making them reviewable, and then you now have to have your officials override the other officials on a judgment call, which got to be a really tricky situation. And then the biggest factor for me was it just slowed things down and made the game take even longer.
And did it at times become cumbersome, to getting the vid swap to work and all of those different types of things, and also changing momentum?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it just would deflate a game. You saw it well, I'm going to use the timeout, but I might as well just challenge here, and maybe I'll be able to save my timeout. So I'll still be able to talk to my players, let them look and see if there's a holding call here, and I'm going to take the energy out of this arena as I'm doing this. And you're right. I mean, it became very cumbersome, and the technology factor isn't always 100% fail safe too, and that's still an issue. That's still something they battle through, and you just hope at the end of the game when a team is trying an onside kick against you, and you say, well, they crossed the line too early or anything like that. You're just please let this equipment work at that critical time.
Yeah. One of the factors that's in the rule book, it says, because of the limited technical equipment and camera angles. This isn't the NFL. There aren't 15 different angles and cameras, and everybody's on slow-mo and things like that. The referee does not have to have indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt. And that's something that they always talk about in the NFL. So I wanted folks to realize that. They don't have the same tools that the officials do in the NFL. So when it goes to that point, it's rather that official must use his discretion to get the call right and to do that the best of his ability. And that's the IFL philosophy. But I wanted folks to really realize that those officials are looking at that screen. It's like 5 by 8 inches. It's one angle, and it's not right on the line of scrimmage. It's not right on the goal line. It's not everywhere to be seen. It's a tough job, but it does give you a tool if something does show up.
It does, and you get a sideline and an end zone shot, two views. I think, an issue is it's the referee. So that has to run over, look at the iPad, and then also face the crowd after his decision. Where in the NFL, the referee now has the New York studio helping him out as they're going along with it. And I think they even learned that to just have this one person by himself making this decision, it can be pretty difficult. And I think some of our officials are veteran ones. They look at it. Did anything stand out? No. Okay, we're keeping the call on the field. And some, they'll review it 50 times, and you're like, come on now, you're second guessing yourself. You're trying to make this work here. You just got to go with your instincts. What you see, did it change your mind? Did it even spark anything? If not, then let's go.
Yeah, and I think that would be the intent of the rule, and I think that's what either a good policeman or a good official does. There's a difference between rule enforcement and enforcing the rules, and you have to walk that line. And I think the ones that are the best are the ones that enforce the rules instead of enforcing them. They basically, what's the context, what's the whole idea about it, and we're going to enforce it in that way.
Yeah, you're right. I think the ones that don't try to manipulate or change the game, just here's the rule, here's what we see, here's what we'll go with, and let's continue the play. That's the thing I appreciate is, hey, Coach, I didn't see anything on it that changed my mind. We're going. And, okay, I can deal with that.
Coach, good stuff. We'll talk to you after a while about the Iowa Barnstormers coming to town. That's going to be an interesting game as a rematch of United Bowl 2018. So we'll be talking to you a little bit about that. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs, and this segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl and also Eastway Sports Lounge, the official Storm road game viewing party hosts for all Storm away games. Next viewing party is Saturday, May 4th, as the Storm travels to the Quad Cities in Iowa to take on the Steam Wheelers. Coming up next, head trainer with the Sioux Falls Storm, Ryan Brink, as you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on FM 98.1, AM 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food. Great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this section of the Kurtiss Riggs Show brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And when we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230 for 4 free tickets. These are going to be great tickets to get for the game coming up on Saturday against the Iowa Barnstormers. He has been the head trainer with the Sioux Falls Storm for a long time, and great to have him again on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Ryan Brink, thanks for being a part of the show today, Ryan.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Rich.
You know, one of the things I wanted to talk to you, I have some specific things I wanted to cover. One thing about it, when you're the head trainer and you're working with a team from the preseason through the midseason through the entire season, are the things that you do as far as your job training and working with these athletes different at the beginning of the season that it is now kind of in the middle of the season?
Yeah, you know, at the start of the season, it's one of those things where the difficult part for us at this level is we get guys in and we do our preseason physicals, and they're expected to be on the ground running the next day, full go everything. So we don't have the ability to, you know, do preseason training with them and things like that. And so if somebody comes in and, you know, while they were training, you know, had tweaked a hammy or something like that, and they're still trying to get to 100%, it's one of those things where you're kind of under the gun to have them on the field able to perform. So a lot of times early on, you're trying to get guys up to the level that they need to be at. You're also trying to, you know, maximize what they are or how they are able to perform, and then trying to, you know, fend off any new injuries, because then you always get some of those that come in and they're not at the level that they need to be at as well. So it's one of those things where it's a little bit, everything's kind of across the board, you know, above and below the line, so to speak, as far as what we end up seeing. But the early season stuff is definitely the most difficult.
Now, we're coming off of bye week with the Sioux Falls Storm. Is that a benefit for healing, or can that delay recovery because of sporadic treatment that the player doesn't do because he may not be here?
Sure. You know, and it really is on an individual basis. Bye weeks can be a great thing, and they can be a terrible thing. You know, granted, it's one of those things, some of the guys, you know, may want to go home or get out of town or whatever it may be. But if they have some injury issue going on, again, you're absolutely right, where it's gonna slow things down and delay the process. On the other hand, you know, again, if you get that bye week at just the right time, that 1 week can be enough to get somebody back to the level where they may not miss a game. So it's one of those things where it's kind of open-ended and, you know, kind of up to the individual as well as to, you know, how much they participate and take in the opportunities they have for treatment.
Talking with Ryan Brink, head trainer with the Sioux Falls Storm. Recovery. What is better or what is worse? When you have your physical therapy, you're going to be doing training after an injury. You gave them a routine to follow. What is better or worse, doing the minimal or doing much more than what the outline has prescribed?
You know, that's a little bit of a gray area, but really with the athletes of this level, it's almost one of those things where they're okay in doing more, from the standpoint of the physical demands that these guys place on their bodies. Most people don't have a good grasp of, and most of the time the other side of the coin of not doing enough is not going to get them to the level that they need to be at to perform, you know, for 60 minutes of a football game at this level. And doing more, as long as it's proper training, you know, not creating pain to the injury site, things like that, you're better off to do more, or have those that, you know, have that mindset that, hey, I got to do extra on my own. That's fine, as long as you kind of lay out some boundaries as to what they should not be doing, and things they shouldn't be feeling and stuff like that. But too many times, you know, just trying to slide by and trying to let the the days flip by of where, well, once I get this far out from my injury, I'll be good to go. If you don't do what's necessary, you're not going to be able to perform at the level that you need to come game day, or even practice for that matter.
Talking with head coach or head trainer, that elevates you to a new position, but a head trainer with the Sioux Falls Storm, Ryan Brink. And you kind of answered this question in the last one. There's an old adage in sports, no pain, no gain. Does that follow the same thing as far as in your rehab, going so far that you make it hurt?
You know, I always explain to patients, and this is not only with athletes, but I like to use the saying, no pain, more gain, from the standpoint. You really need to try to differentiate and so that the patient themselves understand what's good to feel and what's not good to feel.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between pain and fatigue, and too many times that's what people mistake is, you know, the fatigue, the muscle burn. That is ultimately the goal. That's what you're trying to achieve. Pain due to injury or referred from the injury and the stresses that we're putting on that body part, that's what we need to avoid. I simply like to use the analogy, it's like having a headache and hit your head against the wall. You can keep doing that all you want to, but your headache's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, you do have to work the muscle. Again, if we're looking for these guys to play 60 minutes and at this level, they have to, you know, have the body able to perform at a high level. And to do that, you have to fatigue the muscles and put some stress to the tissue, but not to the point at which you create pain.
One of the things that you hear growing up, going through sports and things like that, that they'll say something like this, well, it's only a sprained ankle. How serious is a sprained ankle?
Well, you know, sprained ankles are that one injury that I always say are by far the most under-rehabbed injury that we really deal with, from the standpoint of, you know, hey, if you can get up and walk, you're good to go. But a lot of times ankles, for instance, become that injury where down the road, what does that person later say? Well, it's my bad ankle.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes the reason why it's the bad ankle is because it was under rehabbed and was not returned back to the level that person needs for their specific activities. But again, it's still one of those things of where, you know, whatever the injury is, we have to bring them back to the level that they need to perform their specific duties.
Well, Ryan, great stuff as always. Really appreciate everything that you do with the Sioux Falls Storm and keeping the guys on the field. And we'll see you coming up on Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm, Ryan Brink. When we come back, we'll be talking with defensive coordinator Brian Hermanson right here on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll be back right after this.
When should you visit Sioux Falls Urgent Care? When that common cold is not so common. When that chicken definitely needed 2 more minutes. Or when you shouldn't have done it yourself. Sioux Falls Urgent Care specializes in medical fixes for life's glitches. We're faster than the ER at a fraction of the cost. So, when you're down from a sofa stage dive, see us. Walk-ins are welcome and most insurance is accepted. Visit Sioux Falls Urgent Care today.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And when we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230, 4 free tickets for the game coming up on Saturday against the Iowa Barnstormers. You got to get tickets for that one. That's going to be a dandy. He is the defensive coordinator with the Sioux Falls Storm, Brian Hermanson. Hermie, thanks for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rich. Appreciate it.
A couple of questions I want to get to right away. When you think about the career that you've had in coaching, and you've coached at the high school level as an assistant, as a head coach, and now with the Sioux Falls Storm at a professional level, when you look at the history of your coaching, how have the players changed physically over those years?
Well, the one thing that's real noticeable is they're a lot bigger and they're a lot faster. Like you look at some of the safeties that are with the Storm right now. Back 15 years ago, they would be playing linebacker at the size they are, and you see some real violent hits because of the speed and things of that nature. But basically, football has gotten a lot better.
Now, you talk about it as a coach is concerned. When you look at a player, I want to just have a couple of descriptions of players, and you tell me how they work into your playing and your schemes and things like that. You look at a player, smart or athletic, which is better to work with?
Well, if you have both, it'd be great. But an athletic person probably can get a few more things done for you.
Composed or emotional?
On the defensive side, I like guys that are emotional.
Okay. How about cocky or confident?
Confident. I think you can have a little bit of swagger with you. You need that you have to feel, you're better than your opponent. But you got to be humble with it too. So, yeah, confidence is probably a little bit more important.
A scheme player or an instinctive player?
A scheme player, because a lot of times you'll allow your players to be instinctive and have guidelines for them. If they're going to be an instinctive player, they better make the play. For example, one of the things I tell our linebackers is within our scheme, you have to fight over the top of clutter. If you go underneath it and make a play, I'm gonna give you a big hug and everything. But if you don't make that play and they end up having a big run as a result of it, you better be ready to take the heat of what's coming out of my mouth.
Because doing your job determines whether somebody else can be successful. Is that not true?
Exactly right. And that's kind of our big philosophy with the Storm is, just worry about what you have to do in your particular assignment that you have and not try to do too much. And that's when you see teams break down, especially in the IFL because it's such a quick game. When somebody tries to do too much, that's usually when your opponent has a big play on you.
When you talk about the X's and O's of football, and you've seen it all, from the defensive side, we're talking to Brian Hermanson, defensive coordinator with the Storm. How much has the X's and O's changed over the years?
Quite a bit, because even in the indoor league, the game has become a little bit different. When I first started coaching with the Storm, it was more of a passing league, and we were one of the few teams that ran the ball. And now you see more running in the indoor football league, and with some of the restrictions you have on the D-line and not being able to blitz and things, it becomes a little bit easier for people to complete the passes with play-action type things. In high school and college, the big thing now is you have to have nickel packages and dime packages because the ball is getting thrown a lot more in the college level.
Also, a question for you as far as your team. What is better success for you with your playbook, sophisticated or simple?
We like to keep it simple. We do quite a few things, but it's kind of an extension of our base packages. So we like to make sure that our athletes are playing, fast. And one thing that you can do to help them is to keep it simple. And as long as they play fast and they're not questioning what they have to do, the results are usually pretty good for you.
And one final question is kind of a two-part question, but I'm going to just throw it out to you. Are there rules in the indoor game that are great for the defense, or are there rules also that are really make it tougher for the defense?
The rules in the indoor football league are made for the offense to have success. And there's a lot of things you'd like to do, and there's a lot of things that you try to get away with. But you usually get flagged for them. The referees do a pretty good job in our league. But no, the game is meant to be fan friendly, and most fans that come to the games want to see points on the board and a lot of offense. One of our goals that's in our playbook is to hold our opponents to 36 points or under. And when you think of your goal is 36 points. In the indoor football league, that's not very many.
Well, Coach, great having you on the show. As always good insight, and appreciate everything you do with the Sioux Falls Storm, Hermie.
Well, I appreciate it, Rich, and we appreciate everything you do with us, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. We'll see you on Saturday.
Got it.
Defensive coordinator Brian Hermanson. Always great talking to Hermie. And when we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230, courtesy of Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. 4 free tickets. Give us a call.
First Premier Bank Free Plus Checking gives you the freedom to bank anywhere with online account opening, instant issue debit cards, and no unpleasant surprises. Apply online or at any branch location. First Premier Bank Free Plus Checking. Member FDIC.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And they're on 917 South Cliff Avenue, and they've been working to further enhance their deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, starting with this game, it's kind of the heart of the season. You got Iowa, Arizona, Quad Cities, Green Bay, and it starts this coming Saturday against the Iowa Barnstormers. Tell us about the Barnstormers.
Well, they're undefeated. I mean, that's really all you need to know, right? They haven't lost a game. I mean, they've had some tight ones, but they find ways to win. And, you know, everyone wondered how they would do losing Drew Powell, but they've found a quarterback that's very athletic and definitely has found a security blanket in Ryan Ballantyne, you know, a very veteran, seasoned receiver. And then, you know, I think defensively they're fast. I mean, they're playing very fast from wall to wall. They really fly around the field and are making plays.
The quarterback, DeQuan Neal, 78% passer, close to 1,000 yards in passing. He's also the leading rusher. And they do have a running back, Jamal Tyler, and then Ryan Ballantyne and Connor Hollenbeck, their running backs and their wide receivers, and they have been outstanding. The one question that I have about them, they really, in my mind, haven't been totally tested. The teams that they have played, other than Green Bay, all have losing records. It's, in fact, the combined records are 11-21, but that isn't really indicative of how good this team could be.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Rich, but you know what? They're not going to play. You know, they don't play Arizona.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you wonder who are they going to get tested by. They'll play Green Bay again, I believe, and Green Bay's playing much better.
Yeah.
They're going to play us twice. And so, yeah, I think what we just have to worry about is us and them coming in our place, coming in with a lot of confidence. I mean, their coach is extremely confident. And we just have to go in knowing that we're going to have a good opponent and it's going to be a physical game. I mean, we're going to make sure they feel the effects of coming in and playing us at our place.
Any new faces on the Storm squad?
You know, we do have some new faces. We have a linebacker from LSU, you know, Donnie Alexander. We have a defensive end, Lynn Clark, who's kind of a DN linebacker. And then we'll have a new defensive back coming in also. And then we have some guys returning too. Trey Wofford and Lawrence Martin have returned back to the squad. And then Parker Douglas is going to be doing some kicking for us. Miles has kind of tweaked his hamstring. It's not as severe as we thought, thank goodness, but it's enough to where we need to rest him. I mean, it's not something you can mess around with. You know, it's just like a pitcher. If he's got some arm pain, you got to sit him for a little while. It's the same with, you know, the kicker and his kicking leg. So we need to let Miles rest. And Parker always stays in great shape. And so when I responded to him, hey, you interested in this? And he goes, well, let me go out and kick a little bit. He did, felt good, and more importantly, the next day he felt pretty good. And so he did it for a couple days, and yeah, I can do this. I can help you guys out. And so we'll try to get by with having Parker come in and kick for us until Miles is ready.
Well, it was either that or Adam Hicks, and I wasn't sure how far back you were going to go.
Yeah, you got Parker and Sherabaki even in there. I think we would have to go to both those guys before we reach out to Hicks. Hicks would tell us he would have one good kick in him.
Yeah, he probably
Just one,
would.
though. Just one.
Well, I tell you, best of luck this coming Saturday against the Iowa Barnstormers. Casey Wienhoff is going to be on the call with me in the broadcast.
Well, that's awesome. That's probably one of my all-time favoriteest players. And he and I have a great relationship. I love him, and a lot of fun to coach because I don't know if I've coached a more competitive player than Casey Wienhoff. He laid it all out every time and was a lot of fun to be around.
And the only undefeated quarterback in Storm history.
That got benched, too.
That got benched.
That's the asterisk by it. 6-0 and then got benched.
Yeah. Coach, talk to you on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. This segment has been brought to you by Good Sense Deli, fresh subs. Hey, I tell you what, they got great delivery. You're going to get baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. Good Sense Deli, fresh subs. Man, that's good. Stay tuned. We have the final wrap-up of the Kurtiss Riggs Show right after this.
Storm.
Waiting to see a doctor?
What's taking so long?
It can take a while.
I don't have time for this.
Or longer than a while.
We've been here 2 hours.
Forever.
Hello?
What would you say if there was another option?
Finally.
Yes.
It's about time.
We're inclined to agree. It's about time for the best patient care. Sioux Falls Urgent Care.
On the average day, the Winklers are a splendid little family. But today is not your average day. It all started when little Susie went in for her first bite of cereal. Dad went to investigate, but had issues of his own along the way. That's when it became blatantly clear the furnace was broken, and it was time to call the service guys. Waterbury, we are service.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
Oh, the hour goes by so fast. I thank you all for letting us become a part of your evening and joining us for the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I want to thank our guests, Ryan Brink and also Brian Hermanson. When we go to break, we'll take your third caller. 336-1230, 4 free tickets courtesy of Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And I hope to see you out to the Denny Sanford Premier Center this coming Saturday as the Sioux Falls Storm take on the Iowa Barnstormers. And if you can't get out there, we'll be right here on KWSN for the broadcast. So thank you to John Michaels, our studio producer and engineer, and all of you for joining us. And this is FM 98.1, AM 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN. Have yourself a great evening, everyone. We'll talk to you again next week.
Hey guys, Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler here. I'm here at one of my favorite places in the entire world, the wrestling room. But if there's one thing we know about wrestling rooms, they can get extremely dirty. We're talking skin infections, we're talking about funk, we're talking about smelly armpits, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. So, my friends at Pure and Clean Sports came up with an awesome solution. Spray it right on your skin, wipe it off, smells great, keeps you clean from the time you leave the mats to the time you can get home and shower. Not only is it the greatest skin defense in the entire world, it's the safest. Check them out, pureandcleansports.com.
Your body is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Good afternoon and hi, everybody. I'm Rich Roste, and welcome to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. During today's show, we'll be talking to the Storm head coach